going to be making Marshtomp Umeboshi Onigiri from the My Pokemon Cookbook. This is a really fun book. All the recipes are broken out by era of Pokemon. So there's like a Kanto chapter, a Johto chapter, and this is from the Hoenn chapter. If you're a fan of Pokemon, you know what all of those words mean. But a lot of recipes are quite artistic in this way. One I really want to make is the Munchlax custard bao buns. Those look really cool, so I'll probably make a future video on those. But every other recipe I've made from this book, like the Dragonite butternut squash or the Pikachu tarts, have come out really good. So, this uses butterfly pea flour to dye the sushi rice blue. And it's just kind of a cool presentation, and it's a fun snack if you have kids that are Pokemon fans, if you yourself are a Pokemon fan and you just want to have a Pokemon-themed party, and you have people that enjoy these kind of Japanese flavors, then make this. It's really fun. So we're going to go ahead and hop right in. To get started with this recipe, we're going to use butterfly pea flours. You can see packaging right here. I will put a link to them in the description if you don't have them in your local area. These flours are used as a natural colorant in a lot of dishes to make things blue. Anything that is a white or light color can be dyed blue. Pasta, ice cream, icings and frostings, and rice. So we're going to let this steep. You can put these directly in the rice cooker with the rice, but I think letting them steep for an hour or so in warm water on medium-low on your stove will get more of that blue out of there before going into the rice, and will make your rice have a brighter, darker blue color. Sometimes if you just go cook it directly with whatever you're putting it in, it'll be a little bit of a pale blue. So we're going to go ahead and let this steep, and I'll show you how deeply it colors this water after we're done. Just wanted to show you guys how blue this liquid gets. So look at that dark blue color there. This is still going to lighten up as it's cooked into the rice, right? The white of the rice will make this not quite as dark. That's why I wanted to steep it to get a darker hue in the liquid before we use it to cook our rice. For this recipe, you specifically want to use sushi rice. This is usually a short or medium grain rice that is used specifically for Japanese dishes like onigiri, or like sushi, or like nigiri, or sashimi, or like a shirashi sushi bowl, or something like that. So definitely make sure you use that kind of rice. We're going to have 3 cups of it here. And just to illustrate for you, we're going to go ahead and just put water in here with this rice. And you see how cloudy it got? We're going to gently mix this rice up, and then we're going to strain this water out, and we're going to continue to do this until you no longer get this cloudiness in the water and it just becomes clear, and then we'll use one final strain to remove the liquid before we're ready to cook the rice. Just want to show you guys, if you've never done this before, what you want this to look like. It varies from rice to rice on how many washes it takes to get it clear like this, but this is what you want it to look like. So the reason we do this is that this is already kind of a naturally sticky rice once it's cooked, and if you don't remove this outside starch, then it just kind of becomes a gelatinous blob, which is not, we want it to be sticky, but we don't want it to be that. So I'm going to rinse this off one more time, and then we're going to head over to the rice cooker. Always follow the instructions on your package of rice for the type of rice that you purchased when cooking in a rice cooker. So in this case, there's 3 cups of rice, and we're going to use 3 3/4 cups of our blue cooking liquid. And it's okay if the flours go in there for the cooking process. We'll remove them before we use anything, but it'll just add a little extra blue if they go in with it. All right. So now we're just going to go ahead and put the lid on and set it to cook and let it do its thing. You can see the beautiful blue rice up here in the top left corner. We need to make a sauce to go on top of this rice, and this is used always in sushi rice, but it is what gives it sort of its distinctive flavor. So that's half a teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to put in a full tablespoon of sugar and 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. Now you want to apply this mixture while the rice is still hot. So now, make sure that this mixture is good and dissolved. And then we're just going to sort of sprinkle this all over the top of the rice. And then use your rice paddle to mix this all up together so that all the rice gets coated in this rice vinegar, sugar, salt mixture. And this is our beautiful blue sushi rice. Now, this is still very hot, so we're gonna let this cool all the way back down to room temperature before we use it. And in the meantime, we need to make some of the other elements that are gonna go on our Marshtomp onigiris to give it the distinctive facial features. Now, we've got this carrot, and we're gonna use it in two different ways here. The first one is for the eyes of Marshtomp, and we just want these to be a little bit more oval-like as opposed to circular for Marshtomp's eyes. So there's one. And if you want to just do circles, it's fine. You can do this however you want. I try to match the recipe and also try to make it as much like the actual character as I possibly can. But it all tastes the same at the end. So there we go. We've got a couple of eyes. Now we need to make some whiskers. And we just want to cut some very thin. That one may be a little bit too thin. So let's cut some very thin strips off of the end here, and we can shorten these later if we need to. In fact, we probably almost certainly will. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a sharper one here. Yeah, there we go. So we'll use these two. So, all right, we got 2 eyes and 2 whiskers for Marshtomp here, and you'll need to do this and repeat it for each onigiri that you're gonna make. Next thing we're gonna do is make his fin, and you want a clean pair of scissors for this, but his fin is sort of like a shark fin, but it's got a little bit of a reverse curve to it. Sharpen that a little bit. All right, there's his fin. Now this for sure is a specialty item. This is orange umeboshi, and essentially what that is pickled plums. And so let's find a nice round one here. You can't find these in just a local grocery store, at least in the United States. If you go to an Asian grocery store, though, an East Asian grocery store, you should find them without too much trouble in the refrigerated section. So these are going to be his cheeks, and we're going to cut this in half. And remove the pit. And there we go. Now we've got his cheeks. And lastly, we've got some sushi ginger here, which if you eat sushi, you are very familiar with. And so for this case, we just want to sort of give ourselves some clean edges here to work with. To make, this is his mouth. So essentially, you just want to kind of just get these, it's almost like a little bit of drawing that we're doing here. And we'll clean these up as we go once we form the actual onigiri. All right, we're ready to assemble our Marshtomp face. He has kind of an oval face rather than a circle. So I had this fish sauce container here that I used to make this. You can also just shape it by hand. It looks like in the cookbook they actually shaped it by hand, but it does, if you have something like that, it does give it a little bit of a nicer, rounder shape. So get your pickled plum and poke a little hole through the end of it, and then push your little carrot strip through. And that will be one of Marshtomp's whiskers. Let's go ahead and get that on there. Now we can go ahead and put his little fin on the top of his head, and luckily this is sticky rice, so it sticks. And then his mouth. And actually, we can use the plums here to seal the mouth on. Now this next bit is a little tricky, and you definitely want to have dry hands for it, because we've got some black sesame seeds, and those are going to be the pupils of Marshtomp's eyes. And so you want to get exactly one of these black sesame seeds on each one of these. If you have tweezers, it's super helpful at this point. I'm actually going to try to do it here with the tip of this knife, because we just need one. Oh, look at that. First try. So be very careful. And now let's do the other one. There we go. And there we go. That is one Marshtomp Onigiri. And here is a completed plate of our Marshtomp Umeboshi Onigiri. And these came out really interesting. They taste delicious. I've been tasting bits and pieces of it along the way. The pickled ginger and the pickled plum and the carrots and the sushi rice. And these are all classic Japanese flavors, right? Like there's no reinvention of the wheel happening here. But with the cute presentation, they actually still taste really good. And they make like a good sort of snack or an appetizer. And you can make a big batch of them if you have a large rice cooker without too much trouble. It's definitely something your kids can help you out with. So, if you enjoy this, I've got a lot of other pop culture recipes. Sonic the Hedgehog chili dogs is really popular. I've got my Pumpkin King pumpkin pie, some Disney recipes like the leftover turkey sandwich. So check those out. And if you enjoy my content in general, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one.